The Meghan Markle yacht girl claims simply will not go away. And you know, I've spoken about this before, but until now, no one in the mainstream media has been brave enough to go there. Well, that has just changed. With Julie Burchill, who I think is one of the most fabulous and brave and unfiltered and hilarious columnists in all of the United Kingdom, bringing the Meghan Markle yacht girl questions, at least. I mean, she has been careful to the UK's oldest periodical, The Spectator. This is quite a surprising place for her to do it. It is part of this wider examination into Meghan Markle's so-called Girls' Weekend. And I will get to this whole column and what she has said specifically in just one moment. But first, let me bring in royal YouTube sensation P. Diner. P. Diner, really interesting, isn't it? Sure, it's baby steps. But the fact that we now have a mainstream media figure, a very famous one, posing the question directly, you know, I want to ask Meghan Markle about her yacht girl past. To me, it feels like quite a significant moment. Because, of course, there is so much about Meghan Markle's time on those yachts that we do not know. And I will repeat once again that David Boies, the former lawyer for the late Virginia Giuffre, wanted Meghan Markle to give a deposition on behalf of Virginia Giuffre to give evidence in court about what she knew in regards to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's behaviour. There is clearly public interest around this.
Absolutely. It's something that we have been talking about for a while. And I think having this go mainstream is starting to open up the dialogue for more and more credibility with the journalists that have, I think, been told not to even mention this. We have to remember that there are things that they couldn't even say about this. But I think now they're allowed to start, questioning things about Meghan that we all have some evidence of. I mean, what is she doing on the yacht? Why did David Boies want to question her? Why is she with Karina Shuliak? Why are there people in Meghan's social circle, that are in the same social circle as Andrew? You have to question that and you have to address it. And it has to be something that we continue to talk about, because there is something there that we need to find the missing pieces to, because I believe a lot of it was scrubbed off of the internet way before we even knew who Meghan Markle was. But slowly but surely it's going to start coming out. And this is the kind of storytelling, transparency, journalism that we need to put it all together, because there is a there. Something is going on. And Meghan and all the things that she has done to, pull other people down and to question them and their behavior. Well, let's continue to turn the tables and talk about you, Miss Meghan Markle, and what you have done. Because let me tell you something, as a aspiring actress and the things that Meghan will do for fame, we only can imagine what this woman was up to well before she was even on Suits, because she's a very ambitious, tenacious woman that wants this celebrity lifestyle. And I think she would have been like no other woman who was trying to find a break in Hollywood to do these kinds of things. Absolutely is what Meghan would have done. It makes so much sense. So let's find out the details on that.
Of course, and we do await the publication of Jessica Reed Krause's House in Habit investigation into Meghan Markle's yacht girl past, which she has promised and has spent 6 years working on. And I am licking my lips in anticipation for when she drops that. But look, I want to take you through the Julie Burchill column because it's just so much fun anyway, P. Diner, because obviously this Australian Girls' Weekend is nothing more than a money-making sham. There's nothing about her best life, because we learned this week that the organizer, Gemma, who is behind it, has just had to declare bankruptcy because she owes something like 700,000 Australian dollars. And we know Meghan Markle needs the money too. So all of this is about the money. And that's where Julie Burchill is so brilliant, because she says in the headline of this piece, Meghan has passed from the ranks of royalty to that of pay by the hour celebrity, which is just so true, isn't it? So here's Julie Burchill. Do something for me right now. It is free. It is easy. It is simple. Just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. That's because over 50% of you watching this video haven't done that yet. I almost spat out my toast, smothered with the as ever, the raspberry spread trio made to keep on hand and enjoy, often $42 naturally, in pure molten anticipation when I read that my role model in spreading jam to flour, speaking the truth to power, will be hosting a women-only weekend retreat in Sydney during her forthcoming Australia jaunt, with tickets a steal at 2,699 Australian dollars. I already had my credit card in my hot little hand until I remembered that though I love to lunch tete-a-tete with one lady, being in the company of many women at once with not one awful toxic man around makes me feel like drawing crude approximations of penises on fragrant toilet doors after around half an hour. Still, what a smorgasbord of Mary Sueisms this will be for anyone who doesn't mind breathing undiluted estrogen for 3 days. Touted as a girls' weekend like no other, this sumptuous banquet of positivity will be hosted by Her Best Life podcast at the 5-star Intercontinental Sydney Coogee Beach. The host of Her Best Life proclaimed, "I have admired Meghan and what she has endured and how she has demonstrated how a woman can be pushed down and she can still rise." It's a very small event for 300 women. It's going to be a fireside chat with Meghan. Sounds like something you'd do with a steamed pudding rather than a life, making one hope that there will be more recipe tips aplenty, such as Meghan's timeless "when in doubt, chuck some flower petals on top and hope they're not poisonous." Take it from one who knows. An event with 300 women present will not be a fireside chat. Julie Burchill recalls, "On my 50th birthday many moons ago, I thought it would be fun to invite 50 close female friends on a steaming July day to a daytime celebration at a gorgeous Brighton beach bar. Mostly media girls down from London with a smattering of local sex workers, and within a few hours it was mayhem. There was one catfight, a serious slugfest, which an actual bounce had to break up. 2 alfresco lesbian hookups, which brought complaints from passing parents. 3 cautions from management for frank and open drug use, and 4 early departures and tears because the fortune teller I had thoughtfully provided had foretold fortunes which weren't what the curious ones had expected. I sincerely doubt that Meghan's get-together will be that much fun. It's mired in me mulch already. The secret of throwing a great party is making people forget themselves. This, on the other French manicured hand, sounds like an en masse navel-gazing featuring, as it does, a psychology session, sound healing meditation, and manifestation, which can often end up being quite the downer when added to a few slugs of cheap wine. You just know the wine will be cheap, probably decanted into special Meghan keepsake bottles. Or as the Her Best Life account posted on Instagram, this is going to be an unforgettable weekend designed for women who want to reconnect, recharge, laugh, learn, and have some serious fun. Again, Julie Burchill says, "In my experience, what happens on a genuinely good night out is generally best forgotten. As for the highlight of the weekend will be an in-person conversation with Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, I don't think it'll be what we generally consider a conversation, characterised by the exchange of views and information. No one will get to ask anything interesting, like, how many yachts was she a guest on before she met her prince? Was it double figures or triple? Nobody will get a sniff of what that special thing she must have done in the sack, excuse my crudity, in order to hook a man who's admittedly dim but is fifth in line to the throne, which would definitely have been my question. On the upside, we are also promised a dance floor-filled disco night. I would pay good money, if not quite the large sum required, to see the dirty Duchess twerking as she did prior to birthing little Princess Lily. That she is charging people to have their photograph taken with her, like an ex-Doctor Who at a sci-fi fan convention, is proof, if we needed it, that Meghan has passed irretrievably from the ranks of royalty to that pay-by-the-hour celebrity. And think of all the jam she must have left. In tricky situations, I tend to think, what would Joan Jett do? In the late 1970s, after the breakup of her band The Runaways and being rejected by a whopping 23 record labels, the wonderful woman oversaw the pressing of her debut solo album Bad Reputation herself and sold it out of the back of a Cadillac after she had played shows. If Meghan's going to make a regular thing of these meet and greets, she could get shot of the sticky proof of her Netflix misadventure in no time. So look, P. Dinah, it was so much fun that, but as I say, the key line there, and the line that really, really interested me, was not a question about whether she was a yacht girl, but just simply stating as a fact and then asking, was it double figures or triple in terms of how many yachts she was a guest on before she met Prince Harry?
Wow, wow, wow. It's almost like there's so much to be revealed about that. I just can't wait to get all the details. But the one thing that struck me about this article is about how they were going to try to show Meghan as someone who has been wronged. Like make talking about what happened to her and making it all about her with these women. And I just find Meghan she's a con artist. She's going to show up to have this weekend with these girls and make it look like she was somehow the person who was had some trauma from her time within the royal family, because I can only imagine that's what's going to happen. She's going to talk about her time as a royal. She wants to connect herself to royalty as much as she can, but like she was saying, this is Meghan grifting at the highest level, because we can't forget how she talked about when she was doing a walkabout, saying she should be paid for this. Well, here we go. She's being paid to do something very similar, with her title, because that's what she always wanted to do. And it looks so cheap. It looks desperate. And it just makes Meghan look like that yacht girl that she was, that we know she was. This is very insightful to me to hear this article. It's just Meghan is at the bottom of the barrel
She
at
is,
this
and there's
point doing
so many
something like this.
exposés going on at the moment, P. Dinah, including from the Wall Street Journal, which has a very interesting take on how Prince William and Prince Harry might speak again. And again, what's interesting to me about this is that the Wall Street Journal is a very mainstream publication, and it is a very sort of American liberal publication in a lot of ways, yet it is now openly talking about the fact that at some point Harry and Meghan will probably end up splitting, and that's when William and Harry will come back together. Now, this is the shock new report, which uncovers the one scenario that could force Harry and William to speak after 1,284 days of silence. Now, I'm reading out the take on this report by Daniela Elsa, who does very good work for news.com.au. And she writes, Prince William and Prince Harry are not believed to have spoken in 1,284 days. That was as of Tuesday, a bit earlier in the week. The chances of them ever casually shooting the breeze over text, let alone sharing their hopes, dreams, and fears over a warm pint, are up there with Donald Trump doing a short course in feminist theory. However, now the Wall Street Journal, taking a break from salivating over frothy AI stocks, has reported there is one scenario when Harry would have to pick up the phone to his brother, or at least dust off their WhatsApp chat, if he were to remarry. What the Sussexes have not done is to hit back at this report in the Wall Street Journal, offering us the most unexpected sorties into royal reporting since Horse and Hound exposed Edward VIII's pen paling with Himmler. The journal piece, based on more than a dozen interviews with personal and professional associates, suggests that the Sussexes' life is not exactly the sun-drenched Edenic one that Meghan's Instagram feed might make it out to be. The good news, Harry is happily settled into family life in Montecito, continuing to advocate for the causes he cares about and often starting his day with school drop-off. The bad news, people who have spent time with him in recent months have also found him adrift and isolated, with Meghan chasing new pursuits as he passes the time in his sleepy new hometown. Harry is reportedly struggling to forge a new existence. Adding to this picture is that Tom Sykes of the Daily Beast and the Royalist Substack recently revealed that Harry is only still in contact with one of the best men from his wedding. And indeed, we saw that picture, didn't we, recently from Netflix, which just showed you how many best men Harry had. And now there's only one. One of these men is he still in contact with. According to the Journal, after the couple's Archewell Foundation was dissolved in December, which blindsided staff, they have little to work on together. And then we get to the Journal's very surprising ending, which gets into what could happen to Harry and Meghan when William ascends to the throne, such as him having the power to scrub their titles. The Journal points out in its very final sentence, if Harry were ever to remarry, he would have to ask the king to consent first. For the record, if there was a day when Harry walked up the aisle with someone else, yes, it would require King William's consent, and it would also see Meghan lose her title and be bumped down only to being Mrs. Sussex. Now, again, P. Dinah, what is extraordinary about this to me is the fact that the Wall Street Journal is actually going there. Like, in some ways, this piece was so boring. I mean, I've reported for months how unhappy Harry is, but it's good in some ways to see the mainstream media catching up. More interesting to me, though, that they're actually putting out there the very real prospect that it is likely that at some point Harry and Meghan will divorce, and that would mean that Harry, assuming William was king at that point, would have to ask him for permission to remarry. It's an astonishing proposition.
Yeah, I think Harry has to put himself in a position where he's back into the good graces of his brother because this is more than likely going to happen. And he is going to need his brother at some point. And I think he will be, in this position where he's going to have to get his brother's permission. We all know Harry is very miserable right now. We just saw when they were in Jordan how he wanted nothing to do with Meghan. I think the signs are there that Harry wants to get back to his royal life. He needs to get back to what is familiar to him. Because, like they said, in this sleepy town, I mean, can you imagine what he's doing all day in Montecito? I mean, this man can't sustain this lifestyle much longer. He has to get back to what he knows. And I think the best thing for Harry is to get back with the people that, love him the most, that really are going to look out for him. And I think, when it does happen that he is ready to remarry, he will find someone that is going to be approved by his family because he knows that was the mistake he initially made, not listening to people. He has to know that, the mistake that he has made and wants to amend that and be better. And I think in the future, he will have an opportunity to do that. Absolutely.
Now, P. Dinah, we are keeping closely across this Prince Harry court case. We've spoken about it a lot. We are tracking it so that other people don't have to read into all of the details because, of course, much of it is dense. But I really did want to go through with you, P. Dinah, the evidence of a few days ago given by Charlotte Griffiths, because Charlotte Griffiths is a really interesting figure in this case. You may know her as the Mail on Sunday's editor-at-large. She has actually, ironically, been breaking lots of pro-Harry and Meghan stories recently, yet Harry, in his wisdom, still going after her in court. Now, Charlotte Griffiths is not only a co-host of Palace Confidential, but the diary editor, now editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, very well-connected woman. And Harry, for a long time, has tried to deny that they have any type of personal relationship, or that they had communicated on Facebook, or that he had given her his personal phone number, is getting away with it on a technicality because it wasn't in Ibiza. But what Charlotte Griffiths has revealed is that this meeting took place in London. And the other technicality is that there was a Facebook account where a number was exchanged with Harry, but it didn't use the name Mr. Mischief. And Charlotte Griffiths says that she's never claimed that he used the name Mr. Mischief, but they absolutely did swap numbers. So I just want to take you through some of her evidence, P. Dinah. A diary editor has described being invited to join an all-night party with Prince Harry before he attended a military parade as she was a member of his social set. Now, he sent her his telephone number via Facebook in 2011. Just remember, P. Dinah, if Charlotte is lying about this, which I do not believe she is, she will have committed perjury. That's how serious this is. Griffiths was questioned about a telephone call to Harry at 2:50 a.m. in June 2012 and 3 text message exchanges. Griffiths told the court that on the night of the call, she had been to a club with Arthur Landon, a film producer and one of the prince's oldest friends, who invited her back to his home for an after party. Arthur hadn't made it home by the time that I arrived, but told me Prince Harry was staying at the flat and that the party had already started under Prince Harry's watch. This is Charlotte Griffiths' witness statement that I'm quoting from. He told me that Prince Harry would let me in if I made it there first. The music was loud and they didn't hear the doorbell, so Arthur advised me to call and text to be let in. That particular night stuck in my mind, as I remember it was around the time of the Trooping of the Colour, and we all thought it was quite funny that Prince Harry had stayed up all night and said he had to go to that or something related in the morning. I remember joking with another friend who was at the party that we should go along to watch, and so I think my text to him in the morning would have either been to see if he made it or to tell him that we weren't coming, as we had only got to bed in the early hours of the morning. The journalist was a University of Leeds student at the same time as Harry's first girlfriend, Chelsea Davy, and had continued to socialise in similar high society circles ever since, including attending polo events and nightclubs in West London. So, P. Dinah, I'm sorry, Charlotte Griffiths is completely in the right on this. Okay, the meeting wasn't in Ibiza, that the Facebook account wasn't Mr. Mischief. There are two asides. They don't change the fundamental point, which is that Charlotte Griffiths was socialising with Prince Harry. Prince Harry gave her his phone number via Facebook, and that there was this meeting on the night before Trooping of the Colour. And by the way, if it's untrue, Charlotte Griffiths would have committed perjury, and I don't believe she's done that.
Right, and wouldn't she have proof of that as well, like to show the information on her Facebook? And also the fact that she's a journalist, and journalists know when they're at these social gatherings, they're always working. She knows that this probably could be a story if some information is leaked to her. People are drinking, they're loose, they're having fun. Is it so far out of the scope that perhaps Harry's friend would have said something to her, given her some information? So I think she is the one person here in all of this who understands her professional position. She understands she's in a social setting, but there could be some information that could come up that could lead to a story. This is, what she does for a living. So, people that are Harry's friends that could leak something, that's something that is a free time for them. They're not working, they're just there having fun. So it's more logical to me that a friend of Harry's would have said something to Charlotte rather than Charlotte just, saying things without getting it on the record and having proof of it. Harry is just trying to say, his friends, no one would have leaked information. But how does he know that? He is not the expert here. Charlotte is, and she would have the information to prove what happened. So he's so far out of scope here. And there's also, as what you mentioned, that would have been perjury. So she wouldn't, and this is her reputation. Come on, this is something that you cannot think that, Charlotte is not going to have the information that she needs to show that she is telling the truth here. But Harry, no, he would not have that information, and his friends neither. So.
The controversy erupted after writer Julie Burchill published a highly provocative column discussing Meghan Markle's past and her rise from Hollywood actress to Duchess of Sussex. The article immediately triggered backlash because of its inflammatory language and sensational accusations. What made the situation even more explosive was the suggestion that Meghan's past relationships and social connections in elite circles could become the focus of deeper public scrutiny moving forward. Critics online seized on the claims almost instantly, while Meghan supporters condemned the article as misogynistic and deeply unfair. Regardless of where people stand, one thing is clear: the story spread incredibly fast across royal commentary channels, social media platforms, and entertainment blogs within hours. Part of the reason this controversy is attracting massive attention is because Meghan Markle remains one of the most polarizing public figures in the world. Every new allegation, rumor, or criticism surrounding her immediately generates global headlines. There's also growing public curiosity about the Sussexes' life before the royal family. Since stepping away from royal duties, Harry and Meghan have repeatedly positioned themselves as victims of media intrusion and misinformation. However, critics argue that by remaining constantly in the spotlight through interviews, documentaries, podcasts, and public appearances, they continue fueling intense scrutiny themselves. For many viewers, this latest controversy feels like another chapter in the ongoing public battle surrounding Meghan's image, credibility, and Hollywood connections. Meanwhile, the royal family itself appears focused on stability and rebuilding public confidence following recent health challenges involving King Charles and Princess Catherine. That contrast is becoming more noticeable. While senior royals are emphasizing duty, service, and continuity, Harry and Meghan often dominate headlines because of controversy, interviews, or personal disputes. Some royal experts believe this difference is gradually reshaping public opinion in favor of the monarchy. Others argue Harry and Meghan remain hugely influential global figures despite the criticism. Either way, the divide between the Sussexes and the royal family appears deeper than ever. At this stage, Julie Burchill's column has once again thrown Meghan Markle into the center of an intense global debate. Whether people see the allegations as legitimate criticism or unfair attacks, the controversy highlights one undeniable reality. Fascination with Harry and Meghan shows no signs of disappearing. The Sussexes remain headline magnets, and every news story seems to trigger another wave of arguments, speculation, and online warfare. But what do you think? Is this latest controversy being blown out of proportion, or does it raise serious questions about Meghan Markle's public image and the future of the Sussex brand? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest royal news and commentary.